I wanna be the best in the game, invest in my name, check no restraints, I'm obsessed with the pain. I ingest, I retain, assess and I change, possessed by the thought I'll be free one day from society's restraints. Money, clout and fame, mud, disease, a plague. We all love to hate, have to play the game, have to make a name. All our insecurities are on display. This is war with the enemy, think that it was meant to be. Living in a time where disease is on every screen. I won't let them fester me, I know most are festering. Negativity is a plague for the mentally weak. No mercy, all I got is working. Never stop searching, never quite so thirsty. I'm toxic and psychotic, with this logic, you can't stop it. It's been chronic since I was a boy, so neurotic and chaotic.
I'm built to last with the webs I'm weaving. I could change the past with all I'm achieving. Got my foot on gas, never stop competing. If you break like glass, then this life's gonna eat 'em. Make mistakes real fast, then you learn how to beat 'em. If you take off the cast, you can see all the healing. If the pain's in the past, move on from the grave and put your foot on the gas. No, never stop competing, yeah.
I've been doing this, I'm on it, I just wanna be iconic. Sipping on a gin and tonic, got me going off when I'm on this topic, yeah. If I ever play, I want it, you know that I'm always honest. Stay away from those who are toxic, keep them out your face, no way, you don't want them, yeah. Don't try to drain my energy, the enemy is everything. It's mentally, unhealthily, spreading like a rare disease. But I won't let it get to me, I don't need your therapy. I can leave a legacy of leading by intensity. Come on, we can fight this, freedom is priceless. Spread just like a virus, living in a crisis. Do you feel courageous? Do you seek greatness? Trust me.
Awesome power of nature, hot excitement of freedom.
Because after you get struck by lightning, there's thunder.
And welcome to another episode of the Pigskin Recap with your boy Tyler. My guest this week is the coach, Ed Gladney. Thank you for hopping on, brother.
Well, it's my pleasure, man. Always supporting good football talk, man.
All right, let's get into it. And this week we had some Thanksgiving games. Happy late Thanksgiving to you guys.
Everyone, yes.
First, we have the Bills and the Lions. And honestly, this game was actually a really fun game to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Both offenses did really, really well. But at the end of the day, it went to the Bills. They came back to win this game. They willed their way back. Josh Allen went 24 for 42, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick with 10 rushes, 78 yards, and a rushing touchdown. Jared Goff, 23 for 37, 240 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Jamal Williams, 18 carries, 66 yards, and 1 touchdown. What did you think of this game?
Just as you said, I mean, it was definitely more of an offensive game. It was a lot more competitive, honestly, than I thought. I mean, the way that the Lions were, for the most part, controlling the game. Yes, the Bills stepped up and they showed their championship medal in terms of, coming back to eventually show the type of team that they really are. Like I said, Detroit, is showing that, they may not, their record may not show it, but they are definitely a type of team that you cannot sleep on. I mean, looking at their third down efficiency in the game, I mean, they were at 40%. Yes, Buffalo was at 58%, so I think that was one of the big factors there. But again, that's a big thing right there. They're being effective on third downs. So that's helping your team stay on the field, as well as keeping the other team's defense on the field. They're slightly above average. So. Now they also had 2 fumbles, so you can't give away the money, as I like to say. Buffalo did have 1 interception, but that means they were -1. So those little things go into the result of what you saw. The final game was the final result of the game.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Those careless mistakes that really got to the Lions, and that's what costed them in the end. And that's what happens, in football. One mistake could change an entire game, and that's what happened. So next we have the Cowboys versus the Giants. And again, another offensive shootout. 28-20 Cowboys. Got a smile on your face right now. So
Yeah, I
Daniel
know.
Jones Daniel Jones went 21 for 35, 228 yards, one touchdown. Saquon Barkley, great job by the Cowboys line for holding him to 39 yards on 11 carries and one touchdown. Um, James had
Hmm.
5 catches for 41 yards and a touchdown. And Dak, 21 for 30, 261 yards, two touchdowns, two picks. And
Hmm.
Zeke had 16 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. And Pollard had 18 carries for 60 yards. CD Lamb had 6 catches for 106 yards. The Cowboys, though, this is the
Hmm.
key right here. The key right here was the 14 unanswered points in third. That's what really got them back in this. And
Hmm.
that's how they came back to win
Hmm.
this game. And the fact that Dak bounced back to those two early interceptions, super key for the Cowboys. Hard fought victory for the Cowboys. I give them a lot of credit for this game. Great job by the Cowboys. Great job by Dak Prescott for bouncing back to those two early picks. Great
Hmm.
job by the Cowboys line for holding Saquon Barkley to 39 yards. And this is what I said, that this was key for the Cowboys. This was key. You had to hold Barkley to under 100 yards in this game
Hmm.
if you wanted to
Hmm.
win this game.
Hmm.
Because their pass defense is a little bit iffy, but their run defense, top tier, one of the best run defenses. So yeah, great job by that run defense. That was really key for them. What did you think?
Well, those who know me know I'm a Giants fan, but to be objective in this, um, good job by Dallas first and foremost, especially coming out in the second half, and throwing up those 21 points. Yes, they controlled the game in the second half. I mean, that was a big factor. They got 169 yards in rushing compared to the Giants 90. So, that's a big control. That's a big controlling factor right there. And I spoke about time of possession. I mean, they had literally about 8 minutes more in time of possession, which is the run game. But the third down efficiency, Dallas was at 63%, while the Giants were at 27%. Again, like I said earlier, third down is keeping the defense on the field and your offense staying on the field. And if you're getting off the field, offensively, you're letting the other team get back on the field offensively, and it wears down your defense. I mean, in watching the
Mm-hmm.
game, I mentioned it to a couple of people. The interior, Dexter Lawrence and Leo Williams, they look tired, and
Mm-hmm.
they're commanding double teams. They don't have a lot of backup support behind them. So they're starting to wear down as you start to get into the second half of the season. So in Dallas, off defensively, like you said, shutting down Saquon, that's big. If you're holding them to 36 yards, yes, there is the argument. Some will say, about his shoulder. He's sore. There's something wrong there. That could be a factor. Yes, there could be issues about, concerns about the backup linemen, but you weren't seeing that in the first half. So, you have to close it out. That's just the bottom line. You played in the first half with them, but the second half you didn't. So you can't throw it all the way in there. You can use it and say, that is a reason. So um, I said it before on another show. Even though I don't believe in moral victories, this was a moral victory in that regard for the Giants. But the truth of the matter is, you lost. And as a coach, there's no moral victories. It's you're a professional. You're out here. You're paid to do your job. You have to produce. But if you're playing with third and fourth string offensive linemen, in some regards, you're human. You do say, you know what, they played with them for the most part. So it's not the annihilation that everyone thought. I mean, everyone was saying, 40-0, 40-10, something in that regard. And you didn't have that. Yes, I saw some, prognosticators say that. There were others, who said otherwise. I always say, we all know if we're in the NFC East, all games, it doesn't matter if you're 0-15 when you go to play your arch rival or one of your division opponents, it amps it up. So, that's a big factor. So, Dallas, for everything, they stepped up. Their money players produced, and the Giants, we don't have the money players at the present moment. Daniel Jones did the best he could, but in the same token, you don't have, the key players, i.e., Kenny Galladay, out there producing. So, again, every team in the league has injuries. So, but Dallas, they capitalized on it and they played better than the Giants that day, especially in the second half. So,
Now I knew going into this game that they would be banged up, but
hmm
I didn't expect this to be a 40-10 game. To be honest,
hmm
I expected it to be close, and I got what I expected. I expected this to be a close shootout, and it was.
hmm
Um, Now to the detractors that were saying, "Oh, 40-10,
hmm
blowout win."
hmm
You didn't get it. You didn't get it. Just saying.
exactly.
So,
Exactly. It's the NFL, like I said, yes, there are some blowouts. Let's not be naive. It doesn't happen. But reality is like we know, if it's the Eagles Cowboys, the Washington versus the Giants, they're gonna be battles. And no matter what the records say, that's just the way it is. They're gonna be battles, and everyone steps up, and you're in your division. That's really what it boils down to. You
mhm.
want to have bragging rights in your division. So,
Then the final Thanksgiving game for the week, Pats versus the Vikings, and
mhm,
another really good game. We had three good games. We were spoiled this Thanksgiving. Um, Mac Jones went 28 for 39, 382 yards, two touchdowns. Kirk Cousins went 30 for 37, 299 yards, three touchdowns and a pick. Dalvin Cook, he was held back by the run defense. 22 carries and 42 yards, and Stevenson was actually not used that much. 7 carries, 36 yards. And the only thing that I really saw when I was looking at the highlights, the only thing I really saw that really hurt New England were late 3-and-outs and a poor defensive showing.
mhm, mhm,
That's what really hurt them late in this game, and that's what really costed them the win. You
mhm,
can't go 3-and-out constantly like that. You can't have a
mhm,
poor defensive showing because it's going to hurt you. It's blatantly obvious.
mhm,
And they've got to beef up that defense. And they've
mhm,
also got to get first downs
mhm,
late in games.
mhm.
Because that was atrocious in that second half.
Exactly. I mean, you hit the nail on the head right there. I mean, because that goes to what I always speak about: third down efficiency. I mean, Minnesota's 53%, New England is at 30%. You can't win. You have to get those critical first downs so you can keep drives going. You can keep your defense off the field. In games like this, that's literally a shoot up concept. You definitely have to produce defensively to help your offense. And 3-and-outs, and things of that nature, definitely leaves you in a position to face the be on the losing side of the column. So, I agree with you. Those 3-and-outs were very critical. But yeah, it was a good game. I mean, it was definitely more entertaining than I thought. But yes. New England, in the end, Minnesota stepped up, especially after their previous loss to Dallas. Yes, New England should have known they were going to be amped up for this game. National TV, Thanksgiving game. They're coming in wounded. Their pride is wounded. You needed to match that. And, you did for the most part. But like you said, getting those critical 3-and-outs, things of that nature, yeah, you can't have that. So,
Yeah, you knew going in New England that they were going to be angry after that
hmm
loss. They were going to
hmm
be angry. They were going to want to play even harder because they were so angry at this loss. So they should have
hmm
played harder. They should have converted on those third downs.
hmm
And that defense giving up 299 yards like that,
Mm-hmm.
you can't do that. You cannot do that, and that's what hurt
I
them.
mean,
Now let's go on to the Sunday game.
mm-hmm.
Broncos, what is up with you guys? 23-10 to Carolina.
Mm.
Uh,
Mm.
Wilson went 19 for 35, 142 yards and a touchdown. Murray had 13 carries for 92 yards. Sam Darnold looked good when he's not even a good quarterback and he looked good. 11 for
Mm-hmm.
19, 164 yards, a touchdown and a rush touchdown. And
Mm-hmm.
Deontay Foreman had 24 carries, 113 yards.
Mm-hmm.
There's no
Exactly.
ifs, ands, or buts about it. The defense made Darnold look good. Wilson still looks terrible. There's no ifs, ands, or buts at this point. I got nothing to
Yeah.
say.
I mean, when it comes to, first of all, to Carolina, I mean, the question I have first is, you know, I know you traded away some key defensive players, but I always thought you still had a pretty decent defense, and like you said, to, let Carolina run all over you for 164 yards. You're giving up 349 yards, literally 100 yards more in total offense to Carolina of all teams. You have your plus your -1 in the fumbles. Um, you know, 3 sacks. Now both teams were terrible third down efficiencies, 28% for Denver and 16% for Carolina. But Carolina was eating up the clock on the ground where they had 15 more minutes in time of possession. I mean, that's right there. That goes into the offense. What's going on, in Denver, and I know most people are pointing the fingers at Wilson, and rightfully so, being the championship caliber type of quarterback, Denver gave up a whole lot to get you, but to me, that's also another factor. Denver gave up a whole lot. Especially a tight end. You gave up your number one tight end. What does he really have? Coming into the season, and do the guys buy into him? That's the other factor. I know people are making fun of the "Let's ride" statement or whatever he says. That's just his way of, if you've known him, that's just his way of trying to rally the team. And to me, it's just a lot of the guys are not feeling him, to be brutally honest. I don't know, it's a matter they're jealous, whatever. The man's getting his money and you're not, whatever. But you're a professional. You need to step up and you need to produce. The coaching, to me, that's the
Oh,
biggest concern. While I know I've never coached in the NFL, and I mean, I tried to the first game, I understood why he went for the field goal, but it's hard when, you're trying to instill a culture of winning, and that's what you want to do. You want to show the guys, we believe in you. Let's go for it. Be a gunslinger at certain times, a smart gunslinger, but, you got to be aggressive. And, it leaves me wondering, will this man finish the season? I mean, I hate to put that on another coach. I never want to, but I mean, I have a friend out in Denver, and he said it. He wants this coach gone, because it's an embarrassment, to what he's done to the Denver Broncos. So as far as Carolina, I mean, hey, they live to fight another day. They're not mathematically out of the playoffs. So, and Sam Darnold, like you said, he played fairly well. Now, mind you, he's coming back, so you got that energy. I mean, you got something to prove. This is your rookie contract. It's the end, so you want to get another payday. So I mean, and Baker Mayfield is, it's, to me, it's not a hard beat out. So right now, if he can galvanize this team, you got a new head coach. If this head coach and Wilkes, people forget, Arizona. I'm sorry, Arizona did him dirty. I mean,
mhm.
to fire him after 1 year like that, for Cliff Kingsbury or Kingsbury, whatever. Um, I know he has something to prove because he wants the job. So he, if he feels that he can, put his career on Sam Darnold's back and get the most out of him, you know, it might work out. So I mean, they do have good receivers over there. I mean, in Moore and Marshall. They're good young receivers. So they do have some skill over there. Offensive line is not that bad. I mean, it's still a work in progress, but it's still aggressive. It's physical. So and defensively, they do have some players over there. So I mean, and they're not playing in a strong division. So, Tampa Bay is, I think Tampa Bay is what, one game in front of them at what, five
Yeah.
and, 5 wins. So, they're still in the playoff hunt. So, can they make a run? Because you close it out towards the end of the season with the division games. So, it's still time to see with them. So,
Yep. Speaking of the Buccaneers, we have the Bucks versus the Browns.
mm,
A loss to the Browns.
mm,
Wow. Brady went 29 for 43, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns. White had 14 carries, 64 yards. Again, game of the trenches. The defense handled the run game fairly well. Jacoby Brissett, 23 for 37, 210 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. But the run
yeah.
defense for Tampa Bay wasn't really good at all. 26 carries, 116 yards, and a touchdown. Schwartz, 1 carry, 31 yards and a touchdown. What is your take?
That right there is the biggest issue. Coming into the game, Cleveland did not have a good run defense. Tampa Bay should have been attacking them in the run game. I mean, that's the first thing. They should have been using their game much more efficiently. I mean, I've watched it. And I think they had a total of 20. Let me double check that again. Hold on a second. They didn't give me all the rushing stats, but I think they had a total of 20 attempts in the rushing game. You're not going to
Yeah,
win. You're not going to win. I mean, I know this is a passing league per se, but you still need to run, and
yeah,
you should have been able to chew up the clock and control that game. With the run game. Tom Brady is also, when you have a good run game, Tom Brady is very effective with play action. That's how you set up the pass game. And um, for some reason, they didn't do it. I mean, they look totally lost in Tampa Bay. I don't know. I don't know what it is. Why offensively they're stagnant. 17 points. I mean, Tom Brady said it. We scored 17 points. We should have scored more than that, and he's right.
yeah,
They definitely should have scored more and taken advantage of it. And then defensively, how do you let Amari Cooper get open like that in overtime? I mean,
yeah,
I get the cornerbacks slipped, but where's your over the top help? I mean, you should be reading that. Brady was looking. I mean, not Brady. Brissett was looking at him. So it's not like as a safety, you don't read that and key that and anticipate it and hedge your bet a little bit more. You do try to get over there. Yes, and Juku was hurting you to send the game to overtime. So I get you. We're trying to hedge your bet a little bit, but that's also on the DC. There's certain things you need to do, to give a little help over the top, So and for Cooper to get open like that, and the DB, the cornerback, you can't fall. You cannot fall. You have to know if it's man and you got single high to the inside. You got to know how to funnel him the right way, and you can't lose your footing. You just can't. I mean that's big right there. So um, Cleveland. I mean, they fought hard. Especially to send the game to overtime. To stay in that game. They wanted that game more than Tampa Bay. So that's some of the things that I took from that. In terms of what you know that game and in terms of third down efficiency. Let me look at that real quick. They were both pretty much even 29% for Cleveland, 26% for Tampa Bay. Cleveland literally had about 8.5 minutes more than Tampa Bay in terms of time of possession. Tampa Bay had 9 penalties. Cleveland had 5. It was a heavy sack game. I mean, Tampa Bay gave up 3, Cleveland gave up 4. So I mean that's really what it boils down to. The run game. Like a 189 to 96, 189 for Cleveland, 96 for Tampa Bay. And like I said earlier, the run game is what Tampa Bay should have been using. Yes, you didn't have Fournier, but you can scheme ways to get the run game going. So and prayers go out to Worth, man. I know that's a tough injury, bro. I feel you. I never want to see a fat ugly. That's what I like to call us linemen, fat uglies. I don't like seeing guys get hurt like that. So prayers on your recovery, brother. So
Yeah. Next we have the Ravens and the Jags. The Jags complete the comeback 28-27. Lamar Jackson went 16 for 32, 254 yards and a touchdown, 89 rushing yards on 14 carries. Edwards had 16 carries, 52 yards and a touchdown. Trevor Lawrence went 29 for 37, 321 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Hasty had 12 carries, 28 yards. And Baltimore's red zone offense wasn't really good in that second and third quarter because they didn't even score a point in that second and third quarter. Or they didn't even score a touchdown in third quarter. Excuse me. That's what really it came down to was the red zone offense for Baltimore, in my opinion. I really think that red zone offense was just not good in that second and third quarter because you allowed the Jags to come back in this game, and then they tried to play pound for pound with the Jags in that fourth quarter, but it still didn't amount to anything because you still lost by 1 point to the Jags because of that. So they just weren't really efficient with the ball in the red zone in that second and third quarter.
So. Yeah, I mean, they definitely weren't. I mean, if you looked at the third down efficiency, I would have thought Baltimore wins this game. They're 57%, and Jacksonville is 30%. That's almost 2-1 in terms of third down efficiency. So, to lose the game, it's baffling. But I forgot who I was watching. I think it was Dan Orlovsky earlier today. He made a great assessment. He said one of the things that was hurting Lamar was he's not taking the checkdowns. There were a lot of times his checkdowns were wide open right there, and he's dancing in the pocket trying to look for somebody downfield. And there was one pass he threw to the tight end down to the left sideline, and he was covered with 5 guys. He was literally, you had 5 guys in the frame who were within about 5 to 7 yards within coverage. So, but Gus Edwards was in the left flat with nobody in close proximity. So, that's one of the things Lamar has to do better on. Yes, Lamar Jackson is that whole offense. He's that whole team, him and Andrews as the tight end. They don't have the deep threat wide receivers. So, that's where the checkdowns come into play. That also helps set up your deep passing game because what that's going to do is force, your LBs and your DBs to come back into the box and into the flat zone area, the hook, the curl areas, and play and look for the checkdowns. And that'll allow you to, sneak a guy behind the secondary and make a play that way. But, and then defensively, their defense is atrocious, man. I'm sorry. It's atrocious. I mean, you should have closed out that game. There's no way they should not have closed out that game. And it's amazing that, the way that defense, they're performing this year. I mean, I know last year everyone killed it saying, they lost a lot of injuries, but, and I understand it's a new scheme, different scheme, but you still have to do a better job of producing and closing out games because there's no way. I believe all 4 of their losses, they were up double digits. They were up double digits in all 4 of their losses, and you come back to lose those games. What does that say? That's defense closing out the games. Your
Yeah.
offense does what they do what they need to do to start, and that's what Baltimore did in this game. They did what they needed to do, like you said, second, and the third quarters, not scoring touchdowns. Scoring field goal in each quarter. And then letting Trevor Lawrence have the game of his life. And you really didn't let Jacksonville run that effective. I think they got 38 yards, and you had 162 yards of rushing.
Yeah.
Come on. I mean, that in the same token, it flips over to the defense more than anything. The defense did not close out that game. And, we were sitting here and everyone's scratching their heads. How could Baltimore have lost to Jacksonville like that? So to me, that was the big shocker for me this weekend.
Yeah. I have to agree with you on that one. Next, we have the Texans and the Dolphins. Miami beats the Texans 30-15. Kyle Allen went 26 for 39, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Tua Tagovailoa, 22 for 36, 299 yards, 1 touchdown, and Wilson, 13 carries, 39 yards, and 1 touchdown. Again, run defense for the Texans. The theme of the entire week: run defense, run defense, run defense.
Mm-hmm.
Tremendous. Holding Wilson to 39 yards and a touchdown. But the quarterback play, way better on Miami's front. You can't have 2 picks. You can't have 2 picks in this league. You really can't. And just 1 touchdown. The Dolphins were able to blow out this team because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got to do something about the quarterback play. Yeah, they lost Deshaun Watson to the Browns, but you have to find a way to get a great quarterback. That is the missing piece for this team. They got to have a quarterback, and the quarterback play all year has just been iffy for the Texans. It showed in this game. It really showed in this game. They weren't able to be as scrappy as they were all year. They got blown out. That's my take. I'm sticking to it. What's yours?
The second half, this was a game of 2 halves. And really, to be honest with you, it was more of Miami didn't take them seriously in the second half.
Yeah.
I mean, they scored all their points in the first half. I'm not going to lie, because when I saw it was 30-0, I said, okay, it's going to be a blowout. I really didn't pay much attention to this. And then when I saw it was 30-15, the final score, I said, huh? It doesn't make sense. And I'm looking at the drive series in the second half. Miami, 9 plays, 10 yards, their first offensive series, and then they punt. Second, 4 plays, 0 yards, then you punt. Third series, 7 plays, 22 yards, and you fumble. Fourth, 6 plays, 2 yards, you punt. Fifth, 5 plays, 5 yards, you punt. Then it's 4 plays, minus 1 yard, you punt. And 5 plays, 13 yards at the end of the game. So that just tells me they put it on cruise control the second half. And no disrespect, you can't do that. Now, yes, you're playing the Texans, but you still have to respect the game, and you have to respect the teams in the NFL. You play like that against even lower tier teams, they're going to surprise you, and they're going to come back, and they're going to put the squeeze on you. And next thing you know, you're going to be stressing, and you're going to lose a game like that. I understand the Texans are probably the worst team in the NFL. We could debate on different teams, but Miami can't do that. You can't do that, because that's not setting the right winning culture, the winning mindset, and that's concerning to me. If I'm the GM, I'm pulling the head coach. Bro, we can't have this. Yes, we got away with it. We really did, but just sitting here looking at that, I mean, looking at third down efficiency, 15% for Houston, but 26% for Miami. You were basically 32-27 to 27-33 in terms of time of possession. You were +2 in the turnovers and rushing. They only had 66 yards in rushing offense. I mean, if you're really going to tone it down in the second half per se, you should be getting more rush yards.
Yeah.
And that also lets your time of possession increase, and you control the clock better. And what's going to me, that's a concern because when you play other teams, if you're playing Kansas City in the playoff, you can't perform like that. You can't.
Hmm.
They're going to, and even Buffalo. I don't care if you may have the record over them. Right now, the pressure is what's going to crack. And if you can't mentally be prepared, you know, yeah, you play Houston, but this is going to come back to bite you in your butt because good teams are going to take advantage of that, and especially in the second half like that. That just tells me you're not mentally ready right now. That's my concern with Miami.
Yeah. And I'm gonna piggyback off of this. We almost lost to the Texans because we got complacent. At
Hmm.
one point, it was tied 14-14 in our game to the Texans. The Texans can
Hmm.
be scrappy when they want to be scrappy. So you
Hmm.
cannot let your foot off the gas against this team. You can't
Exactly.
because they're
Exactly.
going to try to fight back. They're going to try to
Hmm.
play spoiler. And at this point in the season, you got to play spoiler as a bad team.
Exactly.
Um, so they're going to play you incredibly hard. And they tried in that second half. They did try, but it just wasn't enough because of that
Hmm.
first half woe of them just not playing
Exactly.
great. So
Exactly, exactly. That's a great point. I mean, the Texans are scrappy. They're going to fight, and like I said, you're up 30-0. It looks like you were dominating the game. You go into halftime. At least if you score 10 more points in the second and in the third quarter, then it might be a little bit different game. Even if it's 40-15, then you say, okay, they really controlled the game. Then going on cruise control in the fourth quarter is better understood. But
perfect.
you at least played more. You played more of a complete game as opposed
Yeah.
to one half of a game. So and again, you play a good team. You play a good team, and you try and do that, you're going to get destroyed. So
Hmm.
I can't see you being up 30-0 on KC and then trying to go on cruise control like that because you will be looking at an L after that. So.
Yeah, you will. Next game we have the Jets and the Bears. The Jets pull out a win, 31-10. Trevor Simeon, 14 for 25, 179 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. David Montgomery, 14 carries for 79 yards.
Hmm.
Mike White went 22 for 28, 315 yards, 3 touchdowns. Johnson, 5 carries, 62 yards, and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson had the game of his life. 5 catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Elijah Moore, 2 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Garrett Wilson, man. Whew. What a game by him. What a
Hmm.
game. Five
Hmm.
catches, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns, dude. Wow. Great game. Um, the Bears defense, really got to him. Really got to him. Um, and that offense only amassing 10 points in this game and having a backup who was that bad. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
I
Uh,
mean, the Jets really do have one of the better defenses,
they
the
do.
better defense in the league. So, um, personally speaking, if they had better quarterback play from the beginning, it would not surprise me if they were competing with Kansas City for top position in the AFC. I
Yeah.
mean, that's been the issue with them is the quarterback play more than anything. I mean, and losing Brees Hall, don't let me not sugarcoat that. That's a big loss. But in this game, second half they just poured it on. I mean, first half was I mean they Chicago was there with them. I mean, it was only 17-10 at halftime. So Chicago was there. It's the second half
Yep.
the Jets poured it on. I mean, 466 in total offense to 292. So you literally had, roughly 100 and almost 170 yards of total offense more in total offense. Yeah, you
Yeah.
had 308 and 158 in terms of rushing. So you pretty much controlled the game. your third down efficiency, you're at 58%, while Chicago was at 30%. So that's another almost 2 to 1. So, I mean, it wasn't two penalties. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Wow,
Yeah.
two penalties in the whole game. So, that just said, second half, the Jets turned it on. Totally opposite of what Miami just did. They turned it on, and they closed out the game, and they told Chicago, "You're not winning this game," and they took it from them because they wanted it. So,
Yep.
so that was a good win for the Jets. I mean, you know, Mike White, he showed what a productive quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback in the NFL, but he's productive, and he
Yeah.
showed Zach Wilson what being a quarterback in the NFL is all about. So he
Yep.
went out there, he did his job, he produced, and if you, that, I will go back to say if the Jets had quarterback play like that in a couple other games, I really think they're going to be competing with KC for the top spot in the AFC. Sorry. So
I see it. I see it happening, man. I see it with the Jets. I,
yeah,
I
so
really do. They just need a better quarterback, like you said.
exactly. So
Um,
I mean, other than the Patriots, and if they had better quarterback play the week before last week, we're they have three losses at least at minimum. So but
yep.
good win for the Jets. They definitely wanted that. So we'll see what happens next week.
The next game we have Falcons and Commanders, with the Commanders winning this game 19-13. Marcus Mariota, 15 for 25, 174 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Cordarrelle Patterson was held to 52 yards on 11 carries. Taylor Heineke, 14 for 23, 138 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. And Robinson, man, oh my God, for a
Mm-hmm.
guy who got shot just
Mm-hmm.
not even that long ago, and this man is still amassing this productivity every single week. This
Mm-hmm.
guy's awesome. This guy is awesome. He is the epitome of awesome. 18 carries, 105 yards. And the Washington defense holds Atlanta's offense to 3 points in the second half. Phenomenal game by Washington on their part. But what really got them over was
Mm-hmm.
Heineke's play and that running game. Tremendous. Tremendous. And that defense
Exactly.
in that second half, tremendous. So I have to give Washington huge props for that.
Mm-hmm.
Marcus Mariota,
Mm-hmm.
he's not an elite quarterback. Yeah, he's decent, but he's not going to give you a lot. But holding Cordarrelle Patterson, who's honestly a pretty good running back, to 52 yards, also tremendous by the Commanders' defense. So great job, Washington. What's your take, buddy?
Um, it's Washington is a surprising team for me, um, because of the way they are rebounding and they're starting to play now in the second half. I mean, I never thought they were a bad team from the get go, but I knew they were, a decent team. It's just, I've always said it. I think it's more because of all the distractions, starting with the ownership. I think that's, the players are starting to zone that out and not pay that any mind. You're right about Robinson. I mean, I watched him back at Alabama. I mean, the kid can play, so anyone who thought, he wasn't going to come in, yes, he got shot, but, once they said he was going to be fine, I figured, okay, he's going to come in once he gets acclimated. He's going to start showing the type of back that he could be. Not going to lie, I did want him as a backup on the Giants when he was coming out, but I get it. I understand what Washington is doing. He fits that system. Heineke, they just win with this kid. For some reason, they win with him. And, people can belittle him and, just say, pop the cap. I want a Heineke, whatever. I mean, I get it. Funny jokes. But, the kid produces. he goes out there, he plays with a level of confidence and a swag that, as a coach, I would want a quarterback like that leading my offense. And the team is rallying around him. In terms of this game, they were really even. I mean, if you look at the total yards, 332 to 314. Rushing yards was 167, 176. So I mean, realistically, that's why the score is the way it is. It's just, you know, in terms of the momentum. Um, it's third down efficiency, 40% for Atlanta, 41% for Washington. It's roughly 4.5 minutes in terms of time of possession. So, it did come down to being efficient and effective in your play. And Heineke is the one that, in the end, with that defense and the running attack, they produce. They
Yes,
did
they
what
did.
they had to do in terms of going out there and performing. And, Washington is quietly sneaking up on people. They've already proved they beat the team from down south. So they're not a team that you can sleep on and think that you're going to just easily walk over. They're going to come and they're going to take it to you. So good defense and good sound running attack, dynamic receivers. Now mind you, I'm not saying Heineke is an elite quarterback, but if you gave a lot of these elite quarterbacks these receivers, mm, that
Yeah.
that that's scary right there. So the Commanders, they're definitely tough, and they're going to continue to surprise teams as they close out the season. So very impressed with the Commanders, the way they close out, and that's the type of win that you want. You want
Yeah.
a challenge, and you want to fight back and show that what we have the moxie. We're not 1,000% perfect, but we're going to come out and we're gonna take it to you, and we're going to punch you in the face. And are you going to be able to punch back, or are you going to cower down and let us take control and do what we want to do? And that's what they ended up doing to Atlanta.
Yep. And they're the team that broke our undefeated streak in Philly, and they're a really
Mhm.
tough team. So I have to give it to
Mhm.
the Commanders. Um,
Mhm. So Jeff,
Phenomenal team, and also I think the Carson Wentz experiment should be over at this point. It's over. This is Heineke's team for right now.
hmm hmm
So that's all I've got to say about it. Great win by the Commanders, and uh, they are a surprising team, like you said. I do see this team in the playoffs now. I really do. I see
hmm
them in the playoffs.
yeah, they
Um,
concern me. They definitely concern me because that's who
yeah,
we have next. So
yeah. You guys in New York cannot play them
mm-mm,
lightly. You can't take
mm-mm,
them lightly. You have to dominate on both sides of the ball. Any holes that Washington has, you got to exploit. So may the best team win that game. Next we have Chargers and the Cardinals, with
mhm.
LA completing the comeback 25-24. Justin Herbert went 35 for 47, 274 yards with 3 touchdowns. Murray, 18 for 29, 191 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. And to be honest, fire Cliff Kingsbury. Because what on earth is this team doing? Because to lose to a 5-5 team like that, who are very scrappy, you took them lightly. And they came back and won 25-24. This team has done next to nothing this entire season. And this all stems from Kingsbury. You have your quarterback early in the season yelling at you. Like, something's up with Kingsbury, and that's I don't know, man. Kingsbury has to go.
He's a college coach. That's
He's
that's
a
really what
college
it was.
coach. He's not a pro coach, and
Exactly.
and,
I mean,
and it's showing. It's showing,
hmm
and it's just terrible.
but
He wasn't even good in college at
the
Texas
issue
Tech.
though, the issue though with that is, I think, who's going to want to take command of the team, because I wonder who's going to want to go with Kyler Murray as a quarterback, but you're paying him all that money.
Yeah,
And, And that's a concern. I mean, do you go another college coach because you know he's the epitome of quarterback specific. He definitely, he's not Lamar Jackson. Even though he has similar skills in terms of athleticism, but um, it's just, I mean, it's more the mental makeup. It's something about him mentally that concerns me. In terms of his leadership skills. I mean, for first and foremost, for an owner, I mean, for a team to try and put certain parameters in your contract about watching film, whether or not that's legitimate or not, for that to be attempted to be put in, or to be put in and removed, that speaks volumes to me about you as a quarterback, as a leader of men, and not talking about high school or college. I'm talking about grown men, with families who, this game is their livelihood. That says a lot. So, you know, and he has talent. So I'm not saying he doesn't. It's more the mental makeup and who's, you fire Kingsbury. It's who really is going to take over this team, because as a coach, I mean, you might find somebody who's willing, but I have concerns about the system to try and put around him, because he's not your prototypical NFL quarterback. So I mean, and
Right.
just looking at, like you said, looking at the stats, passing stats, 185 yards, and you do have some talented receivers over there. I mean, you got Hopkins over there. Come on, bro. Come
Yeah,
on.
you have D Hop over there. You should be playing better than what you.
And then looking at the Russian attack, I mean, San Diego, sorry, LA Chargers had 65 yards rushing while you had 181 yards.
Yeah.
There's no way you should have lost, but your time of possession is literally a minute apart. You're positive in the third down efficiency, 53% to 46%. You only gave up one sack, but you had one interception and one turnover. I mean, one fumble. So that's your -2 in the turnover. So, this right there is telling me exactly everything I need to know. You lost the game in turnovers, and your defense didn't close out this game. I mean,
Yep.
that's ultimately what it boils down to. I mean, you let Herbert, come back and lead that team to a win. Basically that's what it boils down to. Because I mean, just
Mhm.
looking at this and looking at a couple of the clips, it doesn't look good. It
Mm-mm.
really doesn't look good. So, mm,
Next, we have the Raiders and the Seahawks, with Vegas actually pulling out the win, 40-34. Derek Carr went 25 for 36, 295 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. Josh Jacobs, 33
mm,
carries, 229 yards, 2 touchdowns, one being the game-winning touchdown. Um,
mm,
Geno Smith, 27 for 37, 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Walker, 14 carries, 26 yards, and a touchdown. Seattle's run and pass D was really, really bad this game. Really
mm-hmm,
bad.
mm-hmm.
Plus, you're giving up a long touchdown run at the end of the game that seals it. Oh, man. It was just terrible on the defensive front for Seattle. Very, very bad. But credit to Josh Jacobs for getting that long touchdown run to end the game, 40-34. What's your take on it, man?
I mean, that basically was it. The overtime, the touchdown run. I mean, to close out the game. I mean, because they were even across the board. I mean, it was, if I'm strictly just watching the game, I'm saying it's an exciting game. Well, as an offensive fan, I'm saying it's a great game. Defensive coach, no, it's not. But I mean, 576 yards of total offense for Vegas and 372. So I mean, 900 yards of total offense between the two teams, 307 for Seattle in passing, 293 in Vegas, 283 in rushing for Vegas, and 65 for Seattle. I might say that's probably the concern right there. Seattle needed to run better, because that way you can control the game. because they were down 37-35 to 28-05 in terms of time of possession, and your third down efficiency. Vegas was 57%, while you were 33%. So, those are, two key factors, especially in the evenly close game like this. That's your biggest determination. Number one, the defense. Neither team played any defense, but for Seattle, you needed to do a better job running the ball.
Yeah.
Because if you're more efficient and more effective, you win this game. And you're not going to put the ball, let your defense try and close it out. Even if you say, well, they just scored on an 80 plus yard touchdown run right at the bottom end of overtime. Still, they scored. That's just the bottom line. Your defense didn't step in and shut them down. You took for granted. You probably figured, okay, they're not going to drive down the field, and that's exactly what happened. They drove down the field in one play for that touchdown. And that's why you're on the losing end, especially to the Raiders, because this hasn't been a good year for them. So, that's a bad loss for Seattle, a very bad loss, especially if you were in the playoff positioning and now you let Washington jump over you. And if you had won, you would have been right a half a game behind the Giants, and you hold the tiebreaker over the Giants. So, that's a bad loss for them.
Yeah. The next game we have the Chiefs and the Rams, with Kansas City winning this one 26-10. Bryce Perkins, 13 for 23, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. Cam Akers was a complete non-factor in this game, 8 carries, 37 yards. Mahomes, 27 for 42, 320 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Pacheco, 22 carries, 69 yards, and a touchdown. It was just a terrible, terrible, terrible game for the Rams. Terrible. 100 yards passing and only 37 yards rushing. That's just atrocious. And then, the offense was just absolutely atrocious. With Mahomes, he was playing lights out per usual, throwing 320 yards. Defense was bad for the pass defense was really bad for the Rams. The run defense, 69 yards. You can make a case that they did stop the run quite a bit, but the pass defense atrocious, and the offense was atrocious for the Rams. So, what's your take on it?
I mean, you're right. I mean, first of all, you're playing the Chiefs. You're playing in Kansas City. You're playing Patrick Mahomes. You don't even have your starting quarterback. So, I mean, total yards was basically 2-1, 437 to 198. That's really what it boils down to. Kansas City did whatever they wanted on offense. And for the most part, it seems like they were toying with them and just working on little things. Isaiah Pacheco, definitely showing that, he's not, just a little backup. He's a NFL caliber running back, which anybody who's followed Rutgers, you knew that coming in. It's just, he goes to Rutgers, and that's why you get drafted so low. But look at what he's doing, and he's making a good name for himself. I even saw a play where Aaron Donald had him dead to rights in the backfield, and he broke his tackle. So it's like if you're doing that to AD, that says a lot. So and Kelsey, what can you say about this tight end? I mean, this guy is just phenomenal.
He's amazing, yeah.
Exactly. So I mean, you can't you just can't cover him in the conventional way. So you really have to scheme, and you really got to give over the top help as much as possible. But that also takes away from helping out with the other receivers that they have over there. I mean, Kansas City now is playing at a level that says they're positioning themselves very well to make everything go through KC, and they want this. They want another ring. So this game to me was just, the Rams were outclassed in all facets of the game. They just were. They were outcoached. They were outplayed. They had nothing. And the kid Perkins, I commend him. He shows something a little bit, but he's still a young quarterback, and he still has to make a name for himself. But it's Kansas City. What more can you say?
Yeah. Next we have the Saints and the Niners in a completely defensive dominating fashion. San Francisco wins this one 13-0. Andy Dalton, 18 for 29, 240 yards. Garoppolo, 26 for 37, 222 yards and a touchdown. The defense is dominated, and honestly, D'Amico Ryan deserves a lot of praise for that. His job as defensive coordinator, absolutely awesome. That's all I have. That defense was just dominating. The offense, only 13 points amassed, but that defense, I can't praise it enough. One of the top defenses in the league. That's the reason why they ran the table as much as they did, improve to 7-5 on the year. And D'Amico Ryans, man, I think he's actually a head coach candidate the way he's been having this team, having that defense back him like that. And honestly, I would be happy if he was a head coach in the league. But man, what a job by that defense. What a job by D'Amico Ryans. Garoppolo had a pretty good game. Dalton had a okay-ish game, but he didn't score a point. The whole team didn't even score a point. But they're the Saints. The Saints were going to be bad. But Garoppolo, great game. D'Amico Ryans, again, I'm praising you again in this take. Great job by you. Great job by that defense. What's your take on it, man?
Like you said, defensive game. It's Frisco. That's what you expect from Frisco. I would have expected a little bit more running, more efficiency in the running attack. I mean, 63 yards for New Orleans and 96 yards for Frisco. But in terms of time of possession, 34-50 to 25-10. So, basically they had 10 minutes more in terms of time of possession. So, you said it best. It was a defensive game, and their defense is what really controlled the game because their offense was pretty much lackluster for what I'm seeing here to, come away with this win like this. Their offense has to put up something because you go against a good, prolific offensive team, you're in trouble. So, they shut them out. So as long as you shut them out and you score 1 point more, you win. So, kudos to Frisco for that. But, I would have expected more out of the offense.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I expected a lot more from the offense too, but because 13 points, come on. If you had a bad defense, you're losing this game if you're only putting up 13 points.
Exactly.
But defense saves the day. Great job by that defense, completely dominating, shutting this team out. They're one of the top teams in the NFC, for sure. But yeah, great win by the Niners. Next up, we have the Eagles and the Packers. Sunday night football action. Kind of knew going into this game, the Packers would give us a run for our money, but you got to be better with pass defense, Philly. All this guy was doing was check down, check down, check down. They were getting yards after catch from the checkdowns because the pass defense was so atrocious at tackling, and it's been a problem for Philly all year was the tackling. Tackling, you need to wrap them up. You have guys trying to go over the top. Go after the legs. Go after the legs. What are you doing? But Jalen Hurts, man, this guy can beat you in so many ways. He can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with the pass. You can't stop the guy on offense. You really can't. If he sees a guy open, he can make the throw. If he can see a running lane open and guys aren't open down the field, he's running. He's taking off. and he can beat you. And he nearly literally broke a guy's legs trying to run the ball, getting first downs. And great job by the offense. The defense needs to be a lot better. Also, Jonathan Gannon needs to stop playing the soft coverages. That's another issue. Stop playing soft coverages. Also, when they call running plays or even on passing plays, what's the soft coverage? Blitz more. You got to blitz more. That's been an issue all year. We've been yelling at this team. Blitz, 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 and they're not blitzing. And that's an issue that I have with Jonathan Gannon. You need to blitz more. So, what's your take on it, man?
As far as the game, it was definitely an offensive explosion. And to be honest with you, the surprise to me was Jordan Love more than that. Um, for him to come in 6 of 9, 113 yards. Yes, one of it was, that explosive pass to what's his name?
Christian something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Christian. To take it to the house like that, that was impressive. The like you said, the missed tackles. I think some of it is poor angles, guys not properly coming to balance, squeezing the hip on the tackles correctly. Because if you do that properly, it's not even take the legs; it's you take the midpoint. If you attack the midpoint on any ball carrier, you lessen the opportunity of missing a tackle because ball carriers, they literally give you a head or shoulder fake, little things like that. Guys coming in too fast because, they think they're in a bad position. If you feel that you're in a bad position, take a different angle. Adjust your angle so that way you can get there or at least funnel them to help. Because if you funnel and if you keep outside leverage, you'll always push them back to support. And guys need to understand taking the right angles.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know your defensive coordinator. I've heard you guys talk about that. Blitzing more. I don't know your skills, your scheme. Let me put it like that.
Right.
Because if you're pushing that, I mean, are your players better in zone? Just because you say blitz, if you don't have cornerbacks or DBs who can handle playing one on one when you send a blitz. Now, if you're saying send exotic blitzes or you send certain overloads where you overload one side, drop from the other side to play games, fine. When you guys had Jimmy Johnson, God rest his soul, I can understand that because you had the players for that. But if you don't, and that's why you're loading up on frontline guys to push the pocket there, and you're more of a zone concept, fine. But now if you're telling me, you definitely have the ball players who can handle playing zone, even if you go cover zero, then okay, I got you. I understand.
Now
But
I feel like we do because earlier in the season when we dominated on defense against teams like the Vikings, we were able to do that because we blitz more. So I think we do have the players to play that coverage,
okay,
to
well,
play that scheme. So
well, then, again, if I'm going to study you guys, I will take a look at the whole season and break it down. But yeah, if you have the players, try and mix it up. Don't, if you don't want to overly be a blitz team, what percentage? I mean, most teams, like Wink for the Giants. I mean, he's in the I think he's in the mid 40s, and I know that's
right.
tops in the league. So most teams don't like blitzing when you really think about it. They try to keep it somewhere in the 30ish range. Low 30s into the mid 30s. That's a good. Then that way you can also play coverage. Now do you play more too high with man under? Mixing it up. Do you roll? Do you show two and roll three? Do you roll cover six? I mean quarter. I mean the different concepts. Do you mix it up? Those are things that you want to do. I agree with you there, but I mean, I've even heard Giants fan, look, we need to blitz more. No, you need to play what your scheme says and you play to your personnel. Now, if your personnel does not mean you can play man on man, you can't just blitz per se. But again, I don't know the Eagle scheme. I haven't studied it as yet. So, you guys may be right. You know better than I would. So, as far as Jalen Hurts, yeah, played a hell of a game. 310 total yards, between even balance between run and pass. What I was saying on one podcast, if I'm defending him, I'm getting good, clean hits on him. No matter what, I'm getting physical with him and I'm constantly hitting him to wear him down. But your offensive line does a phenomenal job of keeping him clean and open up the alleys so that way your running backs can get in there. And you keep running the rock the way you guys do. Yes, I mean that's I know everyone talks about this as a passing league, and no disrespect, that's BS. I'm sorry. To be an effective offense, you need to have an efficient and effective running game. Because if you're one dimensional, you're easy to defend. Sorry, I don't care who it is. I don't care how prolific your passing game is. Remember when Mahomes went to the Super Bowl and he didn't have a line? What were they doing? Just passing. And what was he doing? He was getting beat up. You need to have a running game. And if you have an effective running game, an efficient running game, it sets up play action. It does so many different things. It brings an extra man into the box. And you guys have the skills to exploit teams downfield when they put that extra man in the box. So, you guys are, doing a good job so far this season. Phenomenal job. Commend and, all those good kudos to Philly. You guys are taking advantage of it. But yes, defensively, the team's going to take advantage of you, especially in the run game. Because that's how you attack. But that's every team in the NFC East, to be honest with you. If you attack us, Washington is they're probably better suited to handle the run than most of us. But if you attack teams with the run, it sets up the pass a lot more efficiently and effectively. So, but if you guys keep doing what you're doing, yeah, everything goes through Philly. So,
Yep, I agree. That will be our show for today.
Forgot one game.
Oh, what game did I forget?
Cincinnati, Tennessee.
Oh yeah, Cincinnati, Tennessee. Yeah, Cincinnati got the win for this game.
Mm-hmm.
So I really didn't watch this game in depth, so I really don't know what really happened. Honestly,
No, I do.
But I can't. I admire. I will say this. I admire that quarterback, just Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
That quarterback has so much poise. So much poise. I've seen it ever since he beat my team in college. When he beat my team in college, I'm like, this kid's going to be something in the pros. And he has proven me right. Week in, week out, he is proving me right. And he proved it to me again yesterday against the Titans. A very good Titans team, might I add. Yes, they don't have the receivers because they traded A.J. Brown to Philly, but they still have a good running game. And they literally shut down Derrick Henry. They shut him down on the defensive side of the ball yesterday. But Joe Burrow, man, great choice by the Cincinnati Bengals by picking him up. But also, kudos to them having a good run defense. Having them shut down one of the beasts that we have in this league. Great job. Great win by the Cincinnati Bengals. What is your take, man?
You basically said it perfectly. I mean, they shut down Derrick Henry. I mean, Derrick Henry had 38 yards of rushing offense. 38 yards. So, and it's a 20-16 loss for Tennessee. And it's also, for some reason, I think the Bengals are in the Titans' heads. It just seemed like they just don't feel that they can. Not they don't compete, but it just seems like mentally, It's like the Patriots with the Jets. For some reason, right now, they're in their head. I mean, if you look at total offense, 374 to 344, they're pretty much even. 266 passing for Cincinnati, 281 for Tennessee. The running game is where it's lost. 108 for Cincinnati, 63 for Tennessee. Everything else is pretty much even. Third down efficiency, Cincinnati's 35%, Tennessee is 43%. The time of possession is roughly about 3.5 minutes differential. I mean, even the penalties, 9 for Cincinnati, 8 for Tennessee. Sacks were even, no turnovers. So this was an evenly matched game. It's the running game. They shut down the running game, and that's really what it boiled down to. So that was my whole take about that game. It's, Cincinnati is playing better and more confidently, and they shut down the run game. So that's pretty much it.
Right. Well, now this is the end of the show. Thank you to Coach for joining the show. Appreciated your insight. Thank you guys for watching today's episode. Be sure to like and subscribe to the Hardcore Sports Network for more episodes and any other content that's on the network. Again, thank you guys for showing up. This has been the Pigskin Recap with your boy Tyler. And I will see you on Monday at 6 p.m. next Monday. And I was going to do the Is For Me podcast at 7 o'clock, but we did run over. So as soon as this show wins, I'll be doing that. So thank you guys and peace.